Hi guys, Scott Woodward with you to talk about the South Sydney Rabbitohs 2013 in the NRL. And let me say, such a high profile team, probably our most famous rugby league team, and what a wonderful year they had last year. They made the semi-finals for the first time since 1989, and they won a semi-final first time since 1987. A fantastic effort by the coach, Michael Maguire. 26 games for 16 wins at a 62% strike rate. Outstanding effort in his first year as a first grade coach. So having said that, I've just given him a rap. Now I want to give him a bit of a pot. A couple of things that he did that I totally disagreed with, which from a futures viewpoint is good because it tells you that there's a lot of upside with this Rabbitohs side. I think the coach is very, very loyal to his players. He probably gets that from Craig Bellamy and a couple of guys that he's close to, ex-guys from the Storm that he got to know when he was down at the Storm. He continued to select them last week when, in my opinion, they're way past their best. And he's hoping that it doesn't happen again this year, although sadly I think it will, and it may very well be the reason why South Sydney Rabbitohs don't win the grand final this year. If he gets his selection process right and he takes friendship out of it and he judges them on their merits and on form and on potential, I think that the South Sydney Rabbitohs have got a great chance of going all the way this year. You can tick off just about every box. I'm going to give you an idea of what I think will be the starting 13 and talk a little bit about their bench. Before I do that, I want to remind you to get the download on the link and get your free eBook download. Just click it and get it and read it. I think you'll love it. There's also one there for AFL. A lot of stuff in it. Took a long time to put together. Just talking about the South Sydney run-on team, clearly Greg Inglis, not only one of the best fullbacks in the world, but one of the greatest rugby league players of all time. He certainly picked himself at fullback. You can't believe that it required a new coach to come into the club in order to play him at fullback. But that's been the case, and he's certainly transformed this team since he's came into the club. He looks to be in outstanding form, played fantastic in the Indigenous side, and I don't see any reason why he won't be a monumental presence again this year. They're blessed to have a guy like him in their side at number one. Fullback is such a crucial position these days, arguably the second most important position, and Greg Inglis gives South Sydney a completely different structure and a complexion in attack when he's coming from behind. But none of that happens if he doesn't get good go forward and if his 6 and 7 aren't working for him. And I think there's an opportunity for the coach to try new things this year. I hope he doesn't pick the standard side that your grandmother could pick, because I think he did a few things wrong last year, and I'd like to think that he'll learn from that and get this right. Let's have a look at his wingers. Look, it's hard to say before we talk about the wingers. I think one of the major areas that let him down last year was his two centres. No team goes very far in this competition if you don't have good centres, and I think Dylan Farrell showed to me that he's not a top-class centre. He has no idea in defence, surprisingly. Like, he's strong enough, but his technique in defence is just terrible, and he constantly missed a lot of crucial tackles and just put himself in the wrong time at the wrong place and just panicked. Maybe somebody should have been talking to him, I don't know, but I just don't think he's a centre. I think he's got talent. I just don't think he's a centre. Maybe he should be on the wing. I don't know. The other centre was Matt King, a coach favourite, and to me, he's way past his best. Some of his missed tackles were embarrassing, and he certainly just hasn't got any speed at all, like a top-class centre should have. And if he wants to have him in the side, once again, he should put him on the wing there, where he can handle his defence a lot better, and he's not going to cause the problems that he had caused in the centres. So look, Dylan Farrell and Matt King were monumental disappointments in the centres last year. The coach needs to get that right. He's got a massive in Bo Champion, a very good defensive centre and a good talker, highly intelligent guy. Bo Champion, he's a good talker, and he's just the perfect guy to have to come in to plug up that monumental hole that they had. So he needs to find another guy to come in for Matt King, and because Matt King is injured, he's got an opportunity to try that in the first couple of games. So I'm expecting that Matt King won't be starting, and look, maybe he'll put Dylan Farrell in that other centre position. I'm not sure. It's not what I'd do. He's got an opportunity to try some guys. He could try Bryson Goodwin, who trialled in the centre position and went really well. That's an opportunity to trial. He could play Justin Hunt there, young Mitch Bucket. He could play him there. Whatever he does, he's not going to do any worse than what he did last year. I don't think Souths can win the grand final if he persists with Dylan Farrell and Matt King in the centres. So we're going to talk about his ends. He's halfway there with Bay Champion. He needs to get the other 50% right. Andrew Everingham is another guy who can play in the centres. I think he'll probably take one of the wing positions from Nathan Merritt. He'll take the other wing position, and Justin Hunt will be in contention as well. I thought Justin Hunt went fantastic every time he come on last year. And I'm sure the coach will try and find a position for him somewhere, because he's just a real talent, Justin Hunt. I'm going to talk about the 6 and 7 a fair bit, but certainly John Sutton has been the 6 for South Sydney for a long while, and there's no question he has all the skills, and when he switches on, he's almost uncontainable, and he's a class act, but he doesn't do it week in, week out, and he doesn't do it for 80 minutes. And I think the coach has got an opportunity to play Sutton maybe off the bench and play him in a back row position where he can make a real impact, but he can't do that unless he's got a good replacement at 6. He certainly has the talent there to replace him in a guy called Luke Keary, who promises to be one of South Sydney's first graders for many years, and I would like to see him come in and take that 6th position and partner up with Adam Reynolds. That would be a fantastic combination, and I think that could take South Sydney to the next level, to where they need to be. John Sutton in such a key position as second receiver, to me sometimes goes wandering, and he doesn't take the control, and sometimes when he does take control and he does a silly kick, he just seems uncomfortable in the role. And I think as a running back rower, running off the edges and through the centres, I think he could be a lot more dangerous for South Sydney. So that's a big challenge for the coach if he's got the ticker to do that. Coaches in the past haven't, so we'll see how we go here, what Michael Maguire will do. Adam Reynolds had a wonderful season last year, and tragically he broke down at the end of the season, and that was the end of South Sydney. But he's a wonderful talent, and you'd like to think that he'll continue to go on to the next level. He's absolutely a vital cog in that side, and I'd love to see him partner up with Luke Keary. In the forwards, one of their big ins is Jeff Lima, a coach favourite from overseas, and he's a class act. Hits the ball up good and makes a good impact. A very experienced guy, a former Storm player where the coach knows him from, and unlike some of his other former Storm mates, I think Jeff Lima is a very good in, and I would definitely be starting with him. Not sure if that's what the coach will do. I would start with Jeff Lima and Roy Asatasi, two terrific prop forwards. That would be the way I'd start. Ideally, you've got Sam Burgess, who is arguably the 1 or 2 best forward in the world, and you just need to put him in a position where he's probably not going to make a million tackles, and he's going to be dangerous in attack, and opposition teams can't get him on one side where he can't be as dangerous. Certainly for that reason, and that reason alone, I think he's wasted if the coach's going to play him at prop. I don't want to see him hitting the ball up and doing the hard yards. He can certainly do it because he's a well beater. But I'd like to see him playing either in the back row, or ideally his best position is clearly lock forward. If he plays lock forward, he's got an opportunity to go both sides of the ruck, and he's much more harder for the opposition to contain. And he can play 80 minutes there. He doesn't have to make a million tackles, and he will just be, well, he'll give South Sydney a different danger that they had. When you've got him doing that, you've got Greg Inglis coming through. This is a very dangerous side. But to me, Sam Burgess has been wasted playing in the front row, and even playing in the back row. I would like to think he'll be one of the back rowers. Him and Ben Teo, I'm suggesting, will be the 2 back rowers, and they're absolutely outstanding. Ben Teo is a fantastic in, and I expect him to go very well. Michael Crocker, as I mentioned, is the coach's favourite, and he has been selected at lock. I don't see any reason why he won't do the same thing again, but in all honesty, I think it's an embarrassment. I think he's been gone for quite a few years now, and look, I know he's the tough guy, but he makes a lot of mistakes. He can miss tackles, and while he's a good talker and a good leader, I think they've got good leaders on the field, and it's a key position lock forward, and I think they've got better alternatives. I talked about Sam Burgess. Let's talk about Nathan Peach. Nathan Peach in 2013 is a significantly better lock forward than Michael Croker, and it's an embarrassment if the coach is going to select him as a starting lock forward. I think it goes against the team, and I think it could stop them from winning the competition and even getting into the Final Four. It's that important. If you're an opposition coach and you look at the list and you see that the lock forward is either Sam Burgess or Nathan Peach, you would have some concerns, particularly when you look at the rest of the forward pack, which is going to be having a hooker called Isaac Luke, who is arguably the most dangerous hooker in the world. Every time he gets the ball, he looks dangerous. Look, I know he hasn't got the world's best defence, but gee, what he does in attack, you just don't know what he's going to do. And what he does is so important. He knows how to get over the line when they're close to the line, and that's one of the problems that a lot of teams have got in this competition. They get to the try line, but they don't know how to get over the try line, and St George is a good example of that. And let me add the Brisbane Broncos a little bit like that as well. Isaac Luke is a guy that can get you over the line, either doing a quick pass, quick dummy pass, or bus attack himself and get over himself. Just a world-beating hooker forward, Isaac Luke, and ideally he should be able to play 80 minutes. And Nathan Peach should be the lock forward. But I suggest that Michael Croker will probably be the lock forward. Nathan Peach will come in, relieve him, and then maybe relieve Isaac Luke for a few minutes. That's what they did last year, and of course it's okay because it's such a good side and they'll do well. But I think they could do better. Be interesting to see if he looks back and goes and looks at some of those games and looks at some of the stats of some of these players. On the bench, they've got an abundance of talent. Obviously, there's 4 Burgess brothers in this side. One of them is injured and probably won't play for the year, but there's a good chance that George Burgess could come on and start at prop forward. Luke Burgess is the guy that got injured. Thomas Burgess also we're expecting to see plenty of again this year. So George Burgess and Thomas Burgess I expect will both be on the bench. Chris McQueen is a chance to be on the bench with Ben Lowe. Dave Tyrrell, Cole Turner is a guy I've heard good things about. Jason Clark will be a certainty on the bench. The coach loves him. And the promising Josh Starling is another guy there. So you can see South Sydney have got a lot of depth. But to me, the big challenge for the coach is he has to get his 2 centres right. He got them wrong last year. He got his lock forward wrong last year. And there's plenty of alternatives for him. And the alternatives are that South Sydney can go on to the next level and actually win this premiership. I don't know what he's going to do with Luke Carey. He's too good a player not to have him first grade. And if anything happens to John Sarton, or in fact anything happens to Adam Reynolds, Luke Carey will be straight in there. And I think once he gets used to first grade, I think he'll be there for the long term. So it's nice. It's a nice position to be in. The coach should be congratulated for where he took South Sydney to last year. But this is going to be a big challenge for him. I want to see what he does this year after his hard work last year. Doing very well is one thing, doing very well and making a few errors is another thing. It's good to make mistakes because that's how you learn. Let's hope that the coaches learn and South Sydney can go on and get into a grand final this year. They certainly have got the talent to do so. If you're a South Sydney supporter, you're very, very entitled to be excited about 2013. Good luck. Cheers.